Hey everyone, it's Thursday, it's 25th of January, it's 10 AM here in Australia. Here's my latest video blog. Today I'm going to do a video specifically on a new opportunity in this blockchain space called Cardstack. This one grabbed my attention yesterday. I did a bit of a review video on a whole heap of different platforms that are coming forward in 2018, and what I liked about this one was that it caught my eye in the sense that what they're trying to do is create an internal hub for individuals. So I claim myself as a sovereign, or I take ownership of myself as a human, as a man, and I'm very big on privacy and being able to control your own information. I did mention this yesterday in the video, and I think that if we have a look at our current lives, technology is advancing very rapidly. And you know, we've seen the mobile phone, we've seen applications and apps that go on those mobile phones. We tend to have different elements of technology as well. You know, you might have desktops, we might have mobiles, we might have iPads, we might have different applications on all of these. We've even seen apps starting to be implemented into our cars, you know, and I think there's also a lot of centralization in regards to these applications. They do seem to stand alone a lot as well, so you'll have these different apps and sometimes they don't always correspond and work together, so there's some conflicts, you know, and I think this is the thing, it's a little bit scattered. That's probably the way I look at it. And there's no doubt that our information, our data is being taken from us, and it's something that we don't necessarily we take it for granted that our information is online, and we're not too sure who's using it, who's taking it, who's skimming it, who's actually profiting from it. And I can see the future being based around internal hubs, like I said, which allow us to control the arrangements and agreements and gateways to these applications and businesses, and it enables us and empowers us to control our lives from one place. And that's what I'm sort of looking at, and I can see that being one of the most exciting parts of blockchain. And the companies that actually can create these and have I suppose a high level of functionality are going to do really well. Now, Cardstack, what I've done is I've opened up some windows of some key relevant information. Now, this is a really big concept to get your head around, and the Cardstack probably doesn't do themselves too much justice with this initial statement, which is the experience layer of the decentralized internet. You know, and I think there's a very big, strong push towards the term decentralized. But what does Cardstack actually mean? Now, there's a 10-minute video. I'm not going to press play on that. You can come in and have a little look at that. But what I have done is just highlighted a few different things. So the first one is, like I said, they're looking at creating the Cardstack hub, which is essentially going to be revolving around you and your life. And from there, you're going to deploy different aspects or different branches or elements and add these into your hub. And so we're talking about everything from browsing, from notifications and communications, content creation, being able to buy and sell, making queries with other experts, you know, searching and automation and workflows, and basic stuff, and even bringing in your cryptocurrencies and your tokens, and having a platform for settlement and things like that. So this is an amazing, it's quite a big concept if you think about it. There's a lot of different elements to this which would probably evolve and even get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's all relevant to how much interaction we have in our lives. So, so basically, Cardstack is an internal hub to enable you to control your life from one place. Next page I've got, and I wanted to know a little bit more about it, and if there's, under documents, there's a lot of information. They're still bringing out their tally protocol. So I sat down and for the last couple of hours just been going through all of these pages and just trying to get my head around some of the technical stuff, trying to understand what it all means. And I think sometimes in this space we're sort of been a bit spoiled with cryptocurrencies and, you know, having being able to actually make a profit from the investment. And I don't think that that's what this is all about. we've got to understand that you've got to have some understanding of the technology that we're actually investing in, and how is that going to affect and benefit us as a society in future. And that's why I like Cardstack. There is no doubt there's going to be tokens, and there's going to be a utility token. I'm going to get to that. But it's not the end all of this space. You know, why are you investing in anything really? And I think if the technology is not going to last, you know, 5 years, then what's the point? And I don't, you know, you've got to be really mindful about where you put your money and your focus. So I do recommend get onto Cardstack, have a little look at this white paper. They've got a one-page summary too, and I've highlighted a couple of paragraphs on those, and I'm going to run through that. They do have a development team with real faces. I have not yet spent some time on the team, and I might do that in a separate video. But there is some links here to their relevant profiles. Next one. Yeah, they've got the videos. What I wanted to do is get to the one pager. Now I've highlighted a series of paragraphs here, and I'm just going to read it out so you get a bit of an understanding what Cardstack actually is all about. So, centralized tech giants force us into silos and capture the value we create. Early decentralized techs like Bitcoin demonstrates the promise of blockchain, but has only delivered gains to a handful of enthusiasts. Cardstack is a leap forward for blockchain at every layer of the software stack, providing a tool set that unlocks the potential of the decentralized internet for everyone. We want to break down app silos in favour of an open digital world. Now what I think they're talking about silos is that everyone's working individually. So you've got all the applications and you've got centralised companies. They're working within their own little jurisdiction and they're skimming the information, and you've got your own relationships with that. So it's very isolated. Everyone's on their own, in their own silo. It depends on how you want to look at it, or their own column and their own category in their own niche. And it's all very separated. There's no cohesion, and none of it's working together. With Cardstack, end users can mix and match features from multiple apps or dApps without worrying about a mess of separate cloud subscriptions or utility tokens. What's even more exciting, our system lets users design incredible new workflows, joining services from different layers of the internet that simply would not have been possible in a centralized world. So again, it's bringing all these branch case and bringing it into one place and getting them to actually work together. And I think that's what they're talking about with their token, and they're going to be creating a card system, but I'll get to that in a sec. This breakthrough is made possible by Cardstack's composable design paradigm, which renders units of information as bite-sized encapsulated cards which can be expanded, embedded, attached, chained, triggered, versioned, cloned, approved, and rescinded, or saved forever. In a decentralized world, your data should be as networked or as sovereign as you want. Now, sovereign, I think, is more about taking ownership and taking control of it. And I'm really big on that. I keep talking about privacy. You know, just be mindful of what the footprints you lay out on the internet. And I think it's an integrity thing. Developers can use the Cardstack framework and comprehensive SDK to create powerful card-based blockchain apps, build anything using modular narrative and discovery containers, easily construct custom workflows using our Cardstack hub, which orchestrates data and value transfer across multiple blockchains and the cloud. Drop-in ready-to-use functionality like searchable indexes, real-time notifications, uniform user permissions, flexible containerized deployment, and much more. Everything is extensible and is 100% open sourced. Now, this is a one-page explanation. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I just wanted to read that little bit. So here we are. We've got this card system, and it's going to be working together. And I'll cover that in the next one. What have we got here? So this is the actual white paper. So Cardstack is the experience layer of the decentralized internet. So I think that's your interaction, your experience with the internet and the different elements of the internet. We believe that orchestrating and cohesive user experiences across the blockchain and the cloud is essential to bringing decentralization to the mass market. And the big push about decentralization is to remove that authority and that control mechanism of centralization that we see so much on the internet now. And you know, it's got out of control in the sense of content in regards to rewards and remuneration, advertising, even Google and Google searching and stuff like that. There's a lot of control that we don't necessarily see in regards to the information that we've got access to. So decentralization and removing some of those control mechanisms allows more autonomy and transparency in the information, not only that we receive, but what we send. So our mission is to build an economically sustainable software ecosystem that fights back against the rampant lock-in mechanisms of centralized platforms. Now, what I wanted to do with this, and just bear with me, I'm trying to keep a flow. I have written some notes, and I wanted to go through the different silos. So that's the executive. So I'm going to read this out. So the problem number one is the application of silos. So the App Store era turns software features into standalone native apps. My screen's just closed on me there, so I'm just going to bring that back up. Just like that. Anyway, there we go. So the App Store era turns software features into standalone native apps which usually do not communicate with each other and require users to choose between multiple overlapping features to form their workflows. Today there is an app for everything. More than 70 billion USD has been paid out to developers of iOS apps in the last decade. When the iPhone was first introduced, there were 15 apps. We had iPhone, Mail, Web, iPod, Calendar, Camera, Maps, Photos, Stocks, Clock, Notes, Calculator, Weather, Text, Settings. It allowed people to manage their lives on the go, facilitating communication and even giving directions, while their music collection served as the soundtrack to their new iLife. But it's all's not well in today's app world. Outside the category of games and entertainment, most users refuse to pay for apps, which is why nearly all of today's apps are free, or all the really good ones are just sort of lost in the catalogue. Additionally, the sequence of steps needs to be a native approach. So search, download, find the icon, launch, skip to register. And all of this has been severely hampered or has hampered the adoption of new apps. The result is that most iPhone users settle on a small number of apps, under 5, for daily habitual use. Many of these apps are supported by advertising. For a majority of development teams working outside of Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, Google and Amazon, the original business model for apps, users pay money to buy app, is effectively dead. And I think all of us can sort of relate to that. We get used to what we have. So I mean, there'll be certain applications that people have on their phones. Some of it's under social expectations, a bit like Facebook and Instagram and things like that. But you might have your apps for your banking and things like that. But I think it's a matter of being able to bring all of these, like I said, into a format that allows a little bit more control over the information that's being sent. So it probably opens the doorway for new developers as well to get their ideas out in front of people. Now the next one is silo number 2. As software moves to the cloud, users need to manage multiple subscriptions to cloud-based software as a service products and choose the right plan to optimize costs across all needed features. So there's no doubt it's not just about the application, but there's applications that you need to register for. So, and I've got Adobe, and I've got Illustrator, and I've got some other things that obviously you might have a virus scanner and those type of things where you're actually paying a subscription. You might have an accounting or a content publishing agreement, messages, things like Dropbox, and all these things have a registered subscription based on their cloud-based software. So the monthly subscription model is taken over as the revenue from subscriptions aligns well with the ongoing cost of developing and maintaining the software. Most small businesses need 5 to 10 apps to leverage large businesses. Now, and I think the big thing what this is coming to is what they're trying to do here at Cardstack is enable you to control all of these subscriptions from one place. And from what I can see, utilizing their token and their card feature, which I'm going to get to. So they've got 2 elements under their utility token, and I will discuss that in a minute. So number 3, so the first one we've got is the apps and centralization. Then you've got the subscriptions for these particular apps or services. Then you've got the emergence of blockchain decentralized apps has exacerbated the situation by requiring users to acquire and manage the supply of utility tokens for each of the functions making up their software stack. So there's no doubt the future is going to be tokenization, so we need to get used to that. So we're going to have all of these different tokens. Anyone that's in the space now has multiple wallets. We might have these tokens spread out all over the place in different areas. Sometimes the wallets that we have don't hold other tokens, and it's getting a little bit messy. A bit frustrating, time-consuming. It's not exactly effective in regards to time management either. So what we want to do is try to get all these tokens into one place where you can actually manage and probably see them in one area. And I think that's the big thing, and I think that's a race, and I think the people like Cardstack, and I think Icon, and I think Ethos and Pillar, you know, there's going to be a massive race to get these particular technologies together. However, from what I can see with Cardstack, they're talking about an internal hub. It's the first one I've seen that's talking from an internal point of view, working outwards. I think Pillar has mentioned it a little bit, but they're starting with an ERC20 token wallet first, whereas I like this because it's the actual talking about the hub and then working on the different elements and the different branches of that hub to make it work from the start. So they're the three elements. So we've got the tokens, we've got the dApps, and we've got the subscriptions. Next one is talking about removing these individualized, decentralized silos and these applications. So at the moment, if I wanted to upgrade my subscription with my internet service provider, I have to go, obviously some of it's automated, but I still have to go to their website, and I still have to deal with the details on their website, and then I'd have to go to the next one. So like I said, they're in their own little space, and it's time consuming. Imagine if you had the ability to deal and control all of these things in one place under icons, under what they're talking about as layers rather than silos. And that's where this card technology or card stacking is going to come in. So talking about layers, and then they're going to put the onus on humans. Humans aren't silly. I mean, we do make a lot of stupid things. I mean, if you're on Facebook for 10 minutes a day, you'll probably find enough things to be sort of embarrassed about. But I think what you'll find is that people will, if something's functional and people want it enough, they'll make it work. And that's the big idea about Cardstack, and they're saying, well, if we build it, they will come, a bit like the Field of Dreams. The next one is talking about the experience layer, so the experience being you're all layered out in front of you, and that's what these layers are, with all their different icons, and it's all connected within this hub via this technology. So build it open and keep it open. They're talking about decentralization and open source, which takes away that centralization, which really puts the power back into the hands of the people. The next side, where do I want to go? Centering the internet. Then it goes into tangible cards, and it talks, I didn't want to read this whole thing out, but it does start to cover how these layers and how the cards actually interact with each other. Then they talk about the different levels of decentralization. So we know that there's websites, we know there's technology, we know there's manufacturing and information and data storage and transfer and all these different elements to our current world, especially in regards to the internet, and especially it's an open web, and we want to bring all of that back into our control. So from there, I think that's all I wanted to cover on that one. I'm going to go to the next tab. Like I said, just bear with me. I'm trying to keep this flowing. I mean, there's a lot of information here. Now, this is the Cardstack token mechanism. Now, I'm going to read these things out, especially this top section here, and give you a bit of understanding of what it's all about. So, what is the Cardstack, and how does the token actually work? So the first thing is you've got the Cardstack application. A Cardstack application is a subscription of a service to the open source Cardstack software layer. This layer makes it possible for applications to be built in connection with hosting services that are available on the cloud, such that users of the Cardstack application, which is us, are able to maintain sovereignty over their data and software. The Cardstack application is then represented and governed by a Cardstack application smart contract, which is a consensual agreement between you and the other end. Okay, so Cardstack users and maintainers. A Cardstack user is the owner of the Cardstack application and contributes monetary wealth towards the payment of services to the Cardstack ecosystem in the form of Cardstack tokens. So this is where your investment is. Your wealth is going to be in this particular hub as CST Cardstack tokens. A Cardstack maintainer is a developer who has a contractual agreement with the Cardstack user, is typically deemed to have contributed some intellectual work in terms of the development of a Cardstack application and is paid fixed fees. These may be more than one Cardstack maintainer, hence forming the primary application team. A Cardstack user is not eligible for reward, whereas Cardstack maintainers are eligible for rewards equivalent to the ones received by open source contributors. So if you're contributing to the ecospace, you can then obtain and become eligible for rewards. So what's the Cardstack token? What is the CST? The Cardstack token is an ERC20 compliant token that carries inherent value and is used to acquire software and services coupons. So this is where the CST is then converted to SSC coupons, and I think that's where the smart contract comes in, and there's an exchange. So the token is the unit of data or the digital asset which you would have paid for via the platform or on an exchange. I'm not sure about the exchange, but I imagine via the hub, and then they're forwarded via SSC coupons. So what is an What is a software service coupon? SSC. The software and service coupon is a service coupon that is pegged to the value of the USD and can be acquired using Cardstack tokens CST, depending on the CST to SSC exchange value. SSC are used to redeem services for a Cardstack application, such as hosting services and services for the payment of network fees. Open source project contributors. An open source project is a publicly accessible repository of written and working code. I won't go into that. Reward. A reward is a grant of Cardstack tokens, CST, to open source projects associated with particular Cardstack applications. So they're going to be rewarding developers. There's talking about proof of burn and reward pools. You know what, if you want to go into some of this and get into some of the technical stuff, feel free to go and have a look at the white paper and dive in head first. Next thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that these guys have actually gone to quite a lot of diligence in regards to legal. I think there's the one thing about blockchain and tokens and coins versus securities, and there's obviously jurisdictions, and there's a lot of compliance and regulations that have to be understood depending on where you are in the world. And I know that these guys have done their due diligence. There's a little bit of information on this, and I just caught that on the page before what I wanted to talk about now, which is token allocation. And I just want to make sure, is that I'll just go back, fundraising schedule, and just skip one. So what they're looking at doing is, and I suppose that's the thing when they do ICOs or anything like that, it is a fundraising event. It's a Kickstarter. It's a call for support. So there's no doubt that CoinStack is going to be doing the same. The information in regards to ICOs, and my videos aren't about investment advice. You have to show all your due diligence in regards to that side of this. What interests me about this as a whole is the actual, I suppose, the functionality and the actual overall concept of a decentralized sovereign hub to control your data in your daily life. But in saying that, this is going to be a Switzerland-based Cardstack. In fact, there is a Switzerland-based Cardstack Foundation which will initiate a fundraiser followed by a series of airdropped awards so as to distribute tokens to interested participants of the Cardstack ecosystem, which is probably going to bring quite a nice spread as well. There's a lot of people getting involved in these things, and if you're getting rewarded with a nice distribution of the tokens, I think that's a good thing. So the foundation, what I liked about this, and I did read this, is they are locking up some of the tokens, and I will talk about that. So they're going to be distributing 20% of the total tokens at the beginning, and then there's going to be 5% pre-allocation at the beginning. So there's not all of them going to be distributed at the beginning, because they're going to be locking them up, and I think it's for about 8 years or so. And there's a certain percentage that they're going to be distributing very slowly into the ecosystem to ensure that there isn't a dumping of tokens into the system, and it also creates a lower supply at the initial point of distribution, which I think a lot of people, anyone that's in this space, can see some value in that. So they're doing a fundraiser. They're going to be doing some airdrops. The details on that will be confirmed a little bit later. Again, the thing about the token allocation is that they're going to be generating 10 billion CST tokens during this initial event, and 30% in total is going to be generated and distributed in year one. And they're going to be then allocating 2% airdrop, and then they're going to be allocating 10% of the generated tokens in the subsequent years, and they're only allowed to, I think, allocate 80% of the year before. So that's what I'm talking about. They've got this nice even distribution, sort of very similar to what EOS is doing. EOS has got a 1-year distribution, and they're only doing 2 million a day, and it gets a really good spread, but this is actually going to be spread out over years, which sounds even better to me. It's like having things locked up in escrow. So, but again, you can come and read these things. Again, my job here is just to share this great concept of the hub. There's no doubt there's going to be a utility token, and I think if there's going to be some incentive to have these, and it actually supports and leverages against and makes and supports the network, then there's no doubt that that's just part of this blockchain space. It's just the way it is. Everything's going to be tokenized in the future. So what have I got there going on? Crown fundraiser. There's going to be a whitelist. I did see that. So they're going to be requiring you to approve and legitimize that you're a human. That stops Autobots and stops some of the big boys coming in and just taking up everything. Next one is I've got the Cardstack token mechanism. Got that double open. Reward function of the Cardstack token mechanism relies on the statistical properties of the underlying analytic model to randomly select, query and reward multiple analytic miners through a sortition scheme. So, like I said, there's some of this you have to get your head around it. Some of these new terms and technical terminologies, I suppose, that actually outline how all of this works. It takes a little bit to get your head around. But, like I said, I think this is one to have a little look into. I think it's going to be a race to get to the top of whoever can create a seamless functional hub for individuals to control and manage their information and their daily in and outs is going to do very, very well. And that's probably what I'm looking at. And you've got to remember that that type of concept would actually obtain a greater market share. So in regards to investments as well, that makes more sense to me, because there's going to be more people looking to obtain these particular elements of software, because it's just it's of interest, and I think it's going to be up, or it's already up. You know, you go straight in, and everything is actually revolves around your hub, rather than at the moment it's all very isolated, and we've got apps and information everywhere. And like I said, it's very centralized. There's a lot of misuse of our data, and we don't even see that happening. I can tell you we're being skimmed and it's being sold, and hopefully in the future we can take ownership and take control of that. There is a Telegram group you can get in there. It's got quite a few people in there, and they do talk about what's coming up. I always recommend getting into some of these. Some of the Telegrams are a little bit mindless, but most of the good quality opportunities tend to have some admins and things like that, and I know the Amazix group and team is monitoring these groups pretty well, so you get less of the rubbish and mindless stuff. So do that, show some due diligence. Let me know what you think of Cardstack. You know, is there a future for you know, a centralized or a decentralized hub where you can actually control your entire ecosystem, or is that just or is that never going to happen, or is it, you know, how many people out of 10 would take this on? So let me know in the comments. Is there something else? I'd also like to know who else is working on this type of concept in this space. and how does that relate to Cardstack. So if you know who that is, let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching, guys, and tune in to my next video.